Hello, it's Cinemalaya season again, so it's now time to react to the teasers for this year's festival. Though this is not to determine what I'm going to watch for this year because I already have a film in mind. I'm going to watch Two Valid IDs, which stars Marietta Subong, aka Pokwang, and I think that the topic of that film is very generalized for Filipinos. It is really hard to get requirements here in the Philippines. What do you mean I need to present a valid ID to get a valid ID when the reason that I'm getting a valid ID is because I don't have a valid ID? Am I making sense? Because it doesn't make sense. And that is just like one area or one component of how hard it is to get requirements here in the Philippines. And as for me, who is somehow literate, can read, can write, and can somehow understand the instructions on how to get some of these requirements, it's already hard for me. What about those who cannot read, cannot write? How about those for old people that needs assistance? Like, and the problem of some of the workers in these government agencies being very hard to approach is a different kind of hardship in itself. So I just want to see how this will all play out in the film. So hopefully it's gonna be a very what do you call this? Very realistic portrayal of the problem. So there are 10 entries for this year's 10 full-length entries. The first one is Direk, or to set upright.
Kailangan natin makipasan sa kanilang krus.
Ito na lang po talaga yung hinihintay niya.
Tandaan mo, Santos. Walang nananalo sa sugal.
Huwag kang lilingon.
Okay, so I am guessing that the priest got tangled up in a crime. The priest is trying to make something right, but I think he ended up being tangled in this crime. I hope I'm right. That's what I got from the teaser. But let's move on to the next. That is somehow interesting. Let's move on to the next. Tayo lang ang nakakaalam. I think this is the BL1. It's interesting to see another like BLGL film at Cinemalaya after Open Endings last year. That was a hit. Let's see. Bound by a love kept in silence, a man struggles to remain seen within a family that once made him feel at home. Oh, this is just sad. How come he is beautiful and handsome at the same time? Okay, so since that was shown in the teaser, I think religion has had a hand in the problem. And this is just so sad because a place where he once felt at ease and calm and protected and comforted is now a place that he can no longer feel all of those things. Let's watch next. This is Status Rejected. There's actually another film that I would like to watch as well. It says here, a grandmother longing for love and the promise of a better life is swept into an online romance that challenges her sense of worth, family, and the dreams she refuses to let go of. So I think this will focus on the grandmother's individuality ultimately. Let's see.
Hindi mo pa maayos ang papeles mo, anak. Kailan ba talaga ako kunin?
Meron akong alam para mapabilis yung fiancé visa mo.
Ang haba niyan.
This is so nice to see because it shows that this particular experience of like having an American dream, it doesn't just apply to like younger people. Old people also have this sort of dream of making their lives better than it already is.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but your application has been rejected.
Okay, this is interesting. Number one, I want to see how the American dream will play out in this movie. Number two, I want to know why her application got rejected. And number three, I want to see how the grandmother will find her individuality ultimately in the end. So this is interesting for me as well. Who knows, I might be able to watch two films and this is gonna be the second film that I'll watch. The next is Mag-iina, or The Mothering. Near the 40th day of her estranged father's death, the moment his soul is said to ascend, a woman returns to her family's ancestral home where we find 3 generations of women bound together by grief, madness, and an evil thicker than blood. You know what? These kinds of premises really interest me a lot. If you have watched his 3 daughters, that is a very good movie for me about the exploration of grief, of family and sisterhood, and how complex family relations are. So these kinds of premises really interest me a lot. So I think this is going to be interesting as well for me. Is this a thriller movie? It's scary. Wow, such big actresses.
In this house, everything is forgiven.
What? Okay, this is interesting for me. I feel like I want to watch this. I think this is a thriller. I was teased by the teaser. So, okay, let's watch the 6th film on the list. Let's see. Sa Kakayawan, Brothers by the River. A coming-of-age story of 2 friends in Mindoro, Nico, a Manila boy, and Ayan at a Diawan Mangyan who bonded one summer. Years later, adult Nico returns to honor a promise.
Ang mga bagay kasing mabibigat, pag hindi natin hinaharap, dinadala natin.
I didn't get anything from the teaser. It's interesting to see like a regional film or a film that has regional dialects on it. It's interesting to see that on like a mainstream media. Okay, let's move on to the next film, which is Hand of God. This stars Isa Calzado, if I'm not mistaken. In a remote village scarred by years of conflict, a child soldier finds unexpected refuge in football. But as hope for a different life grows, he must decide whether to follow the path laid out by war or choose a future of his own.
Hindi mapagkakatiwala ang mga tao dito. Lahat yan. Hawak na ni Omar yan.
Hindi ko naman sinabi na magiging madali lahat ng to.
Hindi ko alam kung kanino ba ako mas matatakot. Sa mga sundalo ba? O dyan kina Omar?
I think there is like a conflict between soldiers and the people who are residing in the area. So yeah, I think that is where the conflict will circle on. This is not a topic that can be like seen in normal films, and we don't always get pieces of media like this, so it's very interesting to watch that. Okay, the next is Ganggang. 3 boys form an unlikely bond to find the best fighting spider against the school bully spider until their own search puts their friendship to a test.
Saan makakahuli ng panlabang gagamba? Dapat sa kunting tao. Di kasi sila hindi nabubulhabog.
Tama na yan. Uwi na tayo.
Dati mo bang eskulahan? Walang bully? Meron din. Sabi ng mama ko, takot daw ang bully kapag yung naapi ay lumalaban na.
Okay, so I feel like the fighting spider is going to be a metaphor for something. I just don't know what. Because I feel like there is like a metaphor between the spiders and the 3 boys. Something like that. So, okay, let's watch the next, which is Animal. This one, I have read the premise of this in passing. So, I felt like this is gonna be interesting as well. In a provincial Philippine town, the daughter of the mayor comes home with a video of a powerful family friend abusing his dog.
Hindi ka mahilig sa aso!
Mahilig ako sa aso, Dad. Ikaw yung hindi mahilig sa aso. Ilang beses na ako nagpapabili ng aso and you never got me one. But the truth is, Dad, I've always wanted a dog!
is some pretty deep repressed anger, girl. But I think this is something deeper than getting a dog. The logline written here and the teaser, I don't think they have. So I think this is the family that has the dog. So that's why the dad says that you don't even like dogs. Let's watch the next. Oh, this is actually the last. This is the film that I'm going to watch, Two Valid IDs. I actually haven't watched the teaser of this. I just read like the synopsis of it or the log line.
Kailangan po namin ng valid ID. 2 valid ID po.
Kung kailangan kumuha ko ng ID, kukuha ako. Hindi talaga biro kumuha ng ID.
Yeah, hindi talaga biro kumuha ng ID, especially in the Philippines. Like, the lines are long, the process is very tedious. There are a lot of things that you need to go through for you to get that friggin' valid ID.
Eh, kaya ka nga kukuha ng ID dahil wala kang ID. Tapos hahanapan ka ng ID. Eh, kanino bang idea to? Kailangan paraan para makuha ang pera.
Okay, so I'm going to watch that. I'm very excited actually because I really like the premise of it. I want to see how everything will play out in that movie. I feel like all in all, the films that are on the roster for this year's festival are very diverse still. And I think they all reflect something that you can see yourself in. Like, for example, the Two Valid ID film. Like, you can see yourself experiencing that. And I think this also goes with the other films. We can find even just one of those films where we can find ourselves experiencing the experiences that the characters had, or like going through the same things that they've gone through. And I think that's what the goal of this year's festival is. So it's very interesting to see. I just learned that the regular ticket is 350 pesos. I don't know why I got surprised. Maybe it's because when I was watching it before, I was using the student discount, so I only like pay for 250 pesos. But I think it's just fitting, it's just good because we need to price the our tickets the same price as international films because support Filipino films. But yeah, I just hope that these films are gonna be screening on like more mainstream platform like Netflix or YouTube because we need to make indie films and Filipino films more accessible to Filipinos, to us, so that more people would be able to marvel at the beauty of Philippine cinema. It's very nice to do this, although I'm kind of not really liking just reacting to 30-second teasers because I don't really get anything from them. But with the others, I really got teased watching them. So I think some of them serve their purpose. But yeah, all in all, it's very diverse, very interesting. And I think all of the films have topics that can be reflected within us and around us. Support Philippine cinema, support Cinemalaya, support indie films. Mabuhay ang pelikulang Pilipino.
I've watched 2 Cinemalaya entries the past week, and so I want to share with you my thoughts on those 2 films that I've watched. The first film that I've watched is Two Valid IDs, and it actually exceeded the expectations that I had for the film. I was actually worried if the portrayal will be realistic, but it is, and it's much more realistic than I have expected. It also reveals how unfriendly the system is that we have in the Philippines for less fortunate people and how fucked up the healthcare system is here in the Philippines, especially in the context of like public hospitals. The issue that they have portrayed in this film is much bigger than the hardship or the difficulty of getting requirements here in the Philippines. It actually reveals the corruption that is happening within these systems and within the society, and how it ultimately and how most of the time it affects less fortunate people. I particularly liked how realistic the ending was portrayed because, especially in terms of like resolving these issues or not resolving them for that matter. I don't know if this is going to be a spoiler, but I like the thought that if you're not going to take matters into your own hands, then you're not going to get anywhere because the government is not going to help you. Such a good parting message for the people who've watched it. And it's just heartbreaking to realize that as for us who are just viewers of the film, it's already heartbreaking for us and it's already hard to watch the film and hard to take in the message that it wants us to face. It's much more heartbreaking to realize that there are people who experience this firsthand and that they have to deal with these every day, and that this is the reality for most Filipinos, especially given the kind of system that we have here in the Philippines. So I hope that this film is going to be a wake up call to everyone because it has such an important message on how everything leads to the people who are in power and the people who supposedly lead us. So if we don't do anything about that and if we elect the same person again and again, then these problems are going to keep showing up again and again. And lastly, I want to also point out how the film showed that there is a huge gap between people who have money and connections and power, especially in terms of connections within the society, within the government, as opposed to those who do not have, or those who are less fortunate, those who have no money, no connections, and so on. I hope everyone is going to be able to watch this film because the message that it wants to convey is not just relevant but very important, especially in our time. The second film that I have watched is Status Rejected, and I really like this for some reason because it showed the loneliness that comes with getting old, especially if you are getting old alone. And I also liked how it showed individuality, especially for older people. For example, for the case of the grandmother, for so long she has been like a mother, a wife, a grandmother. And after all of those things, after fulfilling those roles, after her children or her grandchildren have already had their own lives, what becomes of her then? It's about finding yourself after, because you have been these roles for so long, you have been these people for so long for other people. After all of those things, what becomes of you? And who are you? I think it's just a good thought that the film introduced, and it's good to ponder on as well. The film, I think, also urges us to think of our grandmothers and mothers as little girls as well, because they have once been little girls, and maybe those little girls are still inside them, just locked up because of all the responsibilities that they had throughout the years. It also showed how they have once dreamed of making their lives better. They have once dreamed of doing things for themselves, and so it urges us to be a little more compassionate because it's their first time living too. And also, I think they have touched on generational trauma a bit, but they didn't actually delve on it that much. Like one of the realizations that I've had after watching the film, if you're not finding the love inside, whether it's inside yourself or inside your home, you're gonna look for it outside yourself and outside your home. Yeah, I think that's what ultimately the main character did, which led to all of the things that happened within the film. But I really liked how everything came together in the end. I think it's a must watch as well. So those are my thoughts for the two films that I've watched for this year's festival. I'm happy and very grateful that I was able to watch two entries this year. My hope and my prayer is that in the near future, Cinemalaya films are going to be screened in more cinemas, especially regional cinemas, because like I've mentioned, we need to make indie films more accessible to people, to Filipinos nationwide. And I hope that after the festival, the films are going to be available to streaming platforms, or they're going to have like a nationwide screening of the films. We need to support more Filipino films and more indie films. So thank God for Cinemalaya. Support Filipino films, support Philippine cinema. Mabuhay ang pelikulang Pilipino.